It might be getting cold outside, but that sure enough don't mean we eating soup around here. Come on with me outside to the smoker, because today I'm going to show y'all how I make a delicious Boston butt. Let's go. What's good, y'all? So let's talk about the details of this Boston butt that we are working with today. So I have roughly about an 11 to an 11 and a half pound Boston butt here. And as you can see, I already have a little bit of trimming that I need to do. But for the most part, they actually did pretty well with this. But because we're going to be cooking this in the smoker, and I want to make sure that, of course, it's nice and even cooking temperature wise, and one part doesn't dry out, I'm going to take off this little part that you see here to the left, and I'm actually going to put that in my freezer because I'm going to use that for a different video at a later time when I attempt to make my very own sausage. Stuff like this is great for that, so that you can have different type of ground porks. So we're just going to set that to the side, because if we had left that on, that little portion would have been completely probably burnt to a char. So now we're left with a nice, beautiful cut of meat. And again, I'm actually not going to remove all of the fat off of this because that's going to render down into the meat and going to add some great flavor. But I'm going to do a little bit of trimming here, but like I said, not much at all. So like I said, this is pretty much all the trimming I'm going to do to it. I mean, this actually looked really well, so I wasn't going to concern myself too much with doing too much trimming, to be quite honest. And now all we have to do is go ahead and start to season this bad boy up. Now, you don't always have to use mustard. I'm only going to use, that probably wasn't even a tablespoon, to be quite honest. Don't worry, it's not going to make it taste like mustard at all. This is literally nothing but a binder. So a little bit does go a long way, but you want to make sure that you're rubbing it all the way down. Now that we have that all nice and laid down, we're going to start with layering in our seasoning. So the first seasoning we're going to go in with is the Killer all-purpose seasoning. Now, this is just your typical salt and pepper, pretty much kind of like garlic powder, onion powder type of blend. We're not going to go too heavy with this, of course, because it's already pork to begin with. So you're already going to have an element of salt naturally. But there's nothing wrong with adding in just a little bit more. Once we do that, then we're going to go in with the Heath Riles garlic and jalapeno rub. Now, this is not going to make this spicy at all, but it is going to give it some great flavor. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could just stop just at this and just do just these two, and I'm sure it would be delicious. But you know me, we're going to add in another layer as well. Once again, the jalapeno is not really going to shine through. That really just depends on how much you use. But to give it that beautiful color, we're going to go in with the Killer Hogs, the barbecue rub. You guys know I use that a lot this past summer, so we're going to go in with that again. Once again, you don't have to go too heavy-handed on it right now, because what we're going to do is once I get this nice and seasoned up, I'm actually going to wrap this up in some cling film, put it in my fridge, and I'm going to let this marinate overnight. Once you unwrap it the day that you're going to place it in your smoker, you can then go back in and top it off with some more of the Killer Hog seasoning, because you're going to lose a little bit on that saran wrap. I'm just going to go in now and repeat the exact same process. I'm going to go in with a little bit of the mustard, and then after that, I'm going to go in with the all-purpose seasoning, then the jalapeno rub, and then the Killer Hogs barbecue rub. Topping it off with that all-purpose seasoning, the Heath Riles jalapeno rub, and like I said, the Killer Hogs barbecue rub. Once again, now that I have, a good base layer of some seasonings on this, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up in some cling film, place it on a plate because it's probably going to let out a lot of juices, and then place it in my fridge, and I'm going to allow this to sit overnight for 24 hours. Once you allow this to rest, mind you, you do not have to marinate this overnight. If you wanted to, you could just do it just like this and only let it sit for an hour, and that's also completely fine as well. I allowed mine to go for 24 hours just because I had the spare time to do so. So once you let that rest in the refrigerator, 24 hours, let all those seasonings really steep through that meat, Then the next day when you're ready, take it out, I would say about an hour before you're about to cook it. As you can see, now it's really started to sweat. So, and you can see on that cling film, I lost a little bit of the seasoning. So just go back in with a little bit of the rub. That's completely fine. You want to make sure that you have your smoker preheated at 275 degrees. I'm going to go with the fat cap side up. And this is going to be a long cooking day, y'all. So make sure y'all set some time. I started this at about 7 o'clock in the morning. I really wanted to get up at 4 o'clock, but child, I couldn't do it. So I came back at about the hour and a half, 2 hour mark, and I just went in with a little bit of water. I didn't do anything special, no apple cider vinegar, no apple juice, nothing, just basic water, just to make sure that we're making sure that it doesn't dry out too much. Then I closed it back up. And I allowed it to cook. I didn't keep going back and spritzing. This vertical smoker that I'm working with, which is from P.O Box, of course, already has a huge water pan in the bottom. So that's already going to keep a lot of moisture locked in. What you're seeing now is roughly, I would say, at about the 4 hour mark. And as you can see, we were really starting to get some nice bark. And as time went on, I started to add in a little bit more seasoning. We are now officially at the 8 hour mark of this Boston butt. Let me tell you, it was a long day, y'all, but at the 8 hour mark, now that I finally got it to the temperature of about 175, I'm now going to go ahead and wrap it. Now, this is the first time that I've ever used butcher paper, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not really a fan of it. I actually, from now on, will continue to just go forward with using my aluminum foil just like I normally do. I just feel like, to me, this is just unnecessary. Like, it looks good to serve it on butcher paper, but I'm not a fan of wrapping it in butcher paper. It just wasn't for me. It just seemed like it created more work than really what was necessary. So if you're a butcher paper person, keep doing it. If you're an aluminum foil person like I am, keep doing it. Whatever works for you works for you. But now that I have this nice and wrapped, I'm going to place this back in my smoker for an additional hour and a half until the internal temperature reaches about 195 to 200, okay? That is around the stage where that meat is going to completely just fall apart. I brought it inside of my house. Like I said, all together, that was roughly about 9 hours that I had it in the smoker. I'm going to go ahead and unwrap this bad boy. Make sure that you have it under a pan because there's going to be potentially a lot of juices up under it. So, just keep that in mind. But baby, wait till y'all see this money shot. My God, it looks so bomb. But guess what? I'm still not done, okay? What I do now, this is just my own little thing. I transfer it over to the serving dish that I'm going to serve it in, and I add in 1 stick of butter. I add in roughly about a half a cup to 1 cup of brown sugar, and then I also add in some honey. Now, a lot of people, you'll actually see them do this step before they wrap it. I don't like to do it that way. I like to do it this way because I partially shred my meat open. I top it with all of this stuff so that the butter and the juices and the honey, everything can really seep down into that meat. And I'm going to wrap this up in aluminum foil. Now, you can either place this back in your smoker, but for me, I'm done with the smoker. The smoker has served its purpose. I put this in my oven at 350 degrees for exactly 1 hour, okay? So the total cook time for all of this came to exactly 10 hours altogether. So, it's a bit of a process, but I'm going to tell you something. It is worth it because, my God, on today, when I tell y'all this damn pulled pork was bomb. Now, you can either eat it just like this. You can turn it into barbecue pulled pork. You do whatever you want. Just know it is going to be delicious. I'm actually going to be separating this out and putting it in some, what are those bags called where you take the air out of the damn bags? Child, my mouth is I can't even focus. My mouth is watering. I gotta go. Just know the recipe is bomb. If you don't want to do the long version, click this link that just popped up. I did a crock pot version as well. Hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, y'all baby stay cute and take care. Bye, y'all. Enjoy.